Hey all, hope you had a good weekend, and before the markets open I want to do a quick update. Usually I do those stock updates and news updates in the midweek on Wednesdays, but today I think as we have the news of the NIO Stock final pricing of the offering and also some other news with stocks that I'm trading, I thought let's do it at the beginning of this week. So let's dive right into NIO. Here we have the offering initially announced, which I discussed in another video, and that video got lots of traction, so thank you guys for watching. It seems like this is really interesting for a lot of people here. So, and in the offering, as many of my commenters has also pointed out, it was unclear regarding the pricing. So at the very top of it in my video I was highlighting the share price at which the offering was made, and when it was closed was $20.44, and this is obviously just the closing price, but if you look into the offering you could see that this is actually what NIO wants to do. They estimated that the net proceeds will be around $1.5 billion, and they hope that it will be at an offering price of the $20.44. But as we know with the announcement today, we see some changes to this offering. So now it will be 88.5 million shares offered and at a price of $17 a share. So we see more shares being offered and a lower price, and this results still in an amount of $1.5 billion that NIO can raise this way. And what we can see here is also right for an additional offering of additionally 13.275 million shares that can actually be purchased as well at this price. So this is a quite normal procedure. Usually you first have the announcement of the offering, then you need to kind of find buyers for your offering, and finally you announce the pricing. And in the future we will see more 6Ks from NIO where we will see an official closing, whether or not the offering was successful. So this is just a normal procedure, but let's jump in once again into my Excel sheet here. So I've updated it with today's confirmed pricing. So as you see here, the 88.5 million shares, total raising 1.5 billion, and this now results in a dilution of 8.4%, but with the additional shares, which is new here, it could also result in a dilution up to 9.65% if those additional shares are also purchased, and this bumps up the cash raise to 1.7 billion in total. So it seems as NIO had to lower the offering price in order to find buyers, because recently, of course, also the NIO shares were coming under pressure. And generally, it seems that NIO is much more confident to find those buyers at $17 a share, which for us as NIO gang might be bad news in that way, that because it's more dilution, but in the end, the result is the same. Yes, we have dilution as explained in the first video, but we will have this cash raised, and actually parts of it will be going to repurchase the stakes in NIO China, as I have been explaining before. And I found this interesting article here of an analyst, which actually of the Citi analyst Jeff Chung, who actually expects that NIO will raise its holdings to an 86% stake in NIO, up from 75.9%, so a 10% increase. And it seems like this could happen at an agreed cost of around $2.80 per share. So I did a quick repurchase calculation here, and this could be totally off. I'm not sure. Maybe some of my viewers are much more intelligent than I am, so please correct me if I'm wrong here. But what I was doing here is I just suggested that 10% of the outstanding shares initially, of the current outstanding shares, will be purchased back by NIO at a purchase price of $2.8 a share. So NIO will be paying roughly $300 million for that in repurchasing this 10% stake. For me, this seems like a balanced view. Actually, as I mentioned in my last video, I think it is good for NIO to leave the Hefei stakeholder with some shares in the company as a partner. This is to be expected. This is good. At the same time, this results in some good news for us as investors if we have a larger stake in the NIO entity, because this also reflects on future prospects that we have in the company. For instance, if there are profits, then we get a larger stake of those profits, as well as Li Bin, the CEO of NIO. So and if this works out as I have calculated here, then if NIO is to raise the 1.5 billion and paying out the NIO China stakeholders here, that will leave NIO still with 1.2 billion additional cash that they are raising, that they get in US dollars in the banks, or if they even sell the additional shares as well, will leave them with 1.4 billion US dollars with this cash raise. So overall, some good news here with new cash coming in for global expansion, for R&D, for autonomous driving development in the US, as well as repurchasing some of the shares, which actually also results in less dilution because it's kind of an equity for equity deal here. So in total, I would say that still the benefits and the positives overweigh here. However, I expect that this news with the lower purchase price, with the lower offering price here, will also result in some pressure for the NIO shares when the dilution happens, when the actual purchase of the shares of the offering will be happening. This may put NIO more under pressure here. As well as if we look at the Nasdaq 500, see that, well, we're now still in the middle of this trading range here, of this tunnel, however, already more on the upside. So I do expect maybe this week already some healthy pullback of the markets, and this could also affect NIO. So this week will probably put some pressure on NIO shares in general. So you need to think about yourself what you want to do. In that case, for me personally, I'm just going to stay invested, and maybe I'm going to pick up some options and calls, or maybe even some more shares at the cheap if NIO is to tank. I'm still undecided on that, but yeah, let's see how it goes. In other news, 3 more stocks that I want to discuss very quickly. One is HMI. No news on the deal with Xiaomi so far. Whenever I get some news, I will surely cover it here in a new video. Then just in this moment where I was going to render this video, I got some news coming in from Huami that they are announcing the change of the CFO effective from October 1st. So today announced that Mr. David Cui has tendered his resignation as CFO effective October 1st for personal reasons, and he will be replaced by Mr. Leon Chong-dong as a new CFO effective also 1st of October. I haven't had any chances to look deeper into what that means, into the background of the new CFO. Personally, I'm surprised right now to hear this news. Usually changes at the C-level are, of course, very important for the overall prospects of the companies. I don't know whether this is now good or bad right now for Huami. As you know, I am invested in Huami, and I will give you a timely update whether or not this will change anything towards my investment thesis here. I don't think this has anything to do with the Xiaomi partnership as of now. However, this is just still the very important news that you need to watch for Huami, and let's see how the markets react to that. My personal guess is that this could have some negative effects on the share price, but let's see what will be happening today. Then we had the stock split for Tesla, so don't be surprised if today the Tesla share price is down a lot. This is just a stock split, and so we will see what implications we're going to have on that. And also Elon Musk is on its way to Berlin, so he will visit the Giga factory as well as working with CureVac on some vaccine stuff with Tesla and Tesla Grohmann, and trying to, come up with some news on the RNA front and actually maybe solving the Roni crisis here. That would be awesome. And on top of that, we have an important day today for Luckin Coffee. I've been covering the stock previously. I stopped covering it basically when Lu Zhengyao, the chairman, the ex-chairman and co-founder, when he took over basically the board, he placed his shares into the board, and there was basically a takeover during the last special shareholder meeting. And so this is kind of, Luckin Coffee was kind of lost back then. However, I mentioned before, if Luckin Coffee would ever do a real cleanup of the management, that would be really interesting. So today is a new special shareholder meeting where they want to get the one of the board members back into the board, the one who is actually responsible for the internal investigation. So we will see whether or not this will be happening and what will be the news regarding to that. So please let me know down in the comments if you are interested in further coverage of Luckin Coffee. Maybe some of you are still invested or think it is an interesting case to cover. I'm definitely getting more interesting once again if there is a real change in the management and the board. So yeah, leaving this open to cover it during this week. And then some last remarks. I'm currently pumping out maybe a video every other day, so make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that little notification button that whenever I post a new video, you will actually get a notification, because I can read from some of the comments that people possibly haven't seen some of the videos that I have actually touched upon their questions last week. Yesterday, I have actually done a new video about the prospects of battery swapping technology for Tesla in China and maybe cooperating with NIO there. So go and make sure to watch this video. And yeah, by subscribing and maybe even by supporting us on Patreon, you can make sure to keep up to date whenever I post a new video to get a notification. So that's it. Have a nice week. Hope you have a good week trading and stay safe, and see you in the next video.